T.S. Krishnamurthy, former CC, the fact is the political mobilization process should bring the voter out, not legislation, surely.
Well,
go ahead, Mr. Krishnamurthy.
Well, I can't hear you completely, but I can tell you one thing, that conceptually the right to vote is such a thing that you find it very attractive to introduce compulsory voting. But unfortunately, in Asian and African countries, very few people really turn up to the voting station to exercise their vote. In India, on an average, it is between 55 and 60% who come and exercise their vote. But where large number of people are not voting, I think it is necessary to find some method of attracting them to the polling station. I am not saying that compulsory voting by itself is an answer. Conceptually, it's very good, but implementation problems are galore in that. Unless we take care of the implementation problems, you have serious difficulties. But as an idea, in Asian and African countries, some incentives for voting are necessary, if not compulsory voting.
Right, incentives for voting are necessary. Jayaprakash Narayan, how do you react to that? Should incentives for voting be legalistic, or should they be political? Is this a political process has to get the voter out? The political process has to mobilize the voter. Why rely on rules?
Well, there are certain
Sagarika, these are very complex questions which defy simple answers. Now, I'm a liberal and libertarian at heart, and I can see Manish Tiwari's point of view. But we must recognize two things. First, Manish himself pointed out that there's a lot of apathy. We are in a catch-22 situation. Most of the educated, middle class, urban, youth and others, they feel that voting is a waste of time, it doesn't make any difference. And yet the only way you can bring about a change in the political system is these people who understand the value of the vote coming out to vote. The people who are voting increasingly in this country are the people who are induced to vote with money and liquor. Let's face the facts. In Hyderabad city, in recent elections, 43% people voted, and I can tell you out of the 43, about 30 people, the votes were bought by this party or that candidate with money and liquor. Only about 12 or 13 out of 43 people, less than one-third, probably voted without inducement of money. Supposing that percentage goes up to by another 15, 20, suddenly politics will undergo a change. Political parties will transform themselves. Parties are not out to destroy India. They also need an incentive. They must realize that well-meaning people who are not induced to vote by money and liquor, who can think a little bit, look at policies, look at clean politics, they're going to come and vote, and parties will then bring in Manish Tiwaris of the world. But the point is, as Mr. Krishnamurthy said, there can't be a penalty really. I mean, no country seriously has any penalty in compulsory
that's the
voting
sticking
system.
point, isn't it?
That's some incentives, some disincentives.
But Jayaprakash Narayan, if there is no penalty, then how is it compulsory? If there is going to be no punishment.
No, a system of incentive. For instance, Gujarat is a good, interesting initial experiment. The property taxes, you can simply say there's a 100 rupee waiver if you actually vote, and a 100 rupee or 200 rupee or 5% penalty if you do not vote.
Right.
Start with some incentives and disincentives, and can include the ration card and a few other things. Slowly we can work our way up the system, and if it works in a few states, we can introduce.
But then isn't that like a bribe?
I don't think we need to be
Isn't that like a bribe and an inducement? Hello? Isn't that a kind of like a bribe, like a corrupt practice? That could shade into corrupt practices.
It is far better than, frankly, Sagarika, I am sometimes a little surprised at the moralism in our country and the hypocrisy. A large number of voters are offered money and liquor by almost every major political party in our country and in many parts of the country, in my state, in Karnataka, in Tamil Nadu. Whom are we hoodwinking? Well, we have to improve democracy. There are no panaceas, there are no simple answers. But trying out a few methods is not a bad idea, because ultimately, at the end of the day, as we complain, criticize, attack politicians, the responsibility to change things rests with the voter. The voter is the ultimate sovereign, and if the sovereign does not exercise that choice, simply stays back out of cynicism, you are delegitimizing politics, and there are no solutions outside politics. The notion that non-political solutions can emerge, unelected institutions can be the answer to India's problems, and some miracles will happen without politics, is a dangerous notion. Therefore, I think we must somehow or other encourage people to come and vote, whether it happens by inducement or by some kind of slight minor coercion, or reminding them of their moral responsibility, or by better politics and clean leaders. I think it's actually a combination of all. It's not one or the other.
Right. Let's come back with lots more.
If everybody votes, we can there is an accountability. If you are voting, if I am voting, if everybody is voting, we can have an overall idea about what we need.
It actually goes against what the constitution says. It's democratic. So when you say mandatory in democracy, it's against two contradictory words.
It is a good thing in a way that it's forcing everyone to go and vote. But when the repercussions are that it is forcing, and when you enforce something on people, there's bound to be a sort of a negative impact to it.